The Joe Rogan Experience.
What about, I've been reading this book, speaking of cruelty, Jerusalem. It's about the history of Jerusalem.
Whoa.
So the early sieges and the same torture techniques, but you know who gave it to me? This guy, you know Kevin Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Comedian, but he's a bodyguard for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I just worked with him last week, and he was just, he was telling me the Stones stories. He was bodyguard for 20 years for the Stones. He tells the greatest, because he's a very intelligent guy, but he was a boxer, then became a bodyguard for the Stones, and then moved on and started doing stand-up. And he's also got like doctorates in veterinary medicine. But he started telling me, did you ever hear this one about Mick Jagger, about the people in wheelchairs? Because, you always feel like, oh, Keith was a cool guy, Mick Jagger every day, every show for 20 years would take this guy, Kevin, put on a hoodie so nobody could recognize him, go up, because in those days they put the wheelchairs if you were in a wheelchair, they wouldn't let you be with your friends. They'd put you in a separate wheelchair section in the balcony. Everybody in the wheelchair had to go. Mick Jagger would go up with 8-tracks, T-shirts, hand them out, never told the press, never made sure nobody knew about it except this bodyguard, and talk to all the people in wheelchairs and give them T-shirts and give them 8-tracks for 20 years.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's wild.
But this guy tells a million stories. He's been bodyguard for 20 years.
Wow.
He's got great stories.
That's cool. How do we get to him? What were we just talking about?
Jerusalem and the
Jerusalem,
Comanches
yeah.
and the torture techniques.
So this book on Jerusalem, like what I've thought about, what is the name of it?
Jerusalem, a history or something.
I've thought about reading about it and I get anxiety. I'm like,
book.
The just not that particular book, but about Israel and Palestine.
But this book goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
This book is really, I've only read like the first couple of things. It's amazing.
Is it this book?
That's the one. It's crazy.
It's a crazy place.
It's wild. And it starts out, you're like, oh my God, it started on the most bloody, but somehow everybody knew it was significant even then. Like it was never this place that people weren't like, they were always like, no, this is the place.
What do you think about that? Do you think, does that make any sense?
What?
Like, is there a place that's more holy than other places?
You mean like Sedona?
Yeah, like Sedona's a good one. That's a good one for hippies, right? For hippies, believe Sedona's like a sacred place.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like this. Well, even when I was just at the gig, I was at the gig with Kevin Fitzgerald. It was in where The Shining is in Colorado, where they shot The Shining, that hotel.
Yeah.
And so they go, it's haunted. And I'm talking to the kid that works there, and he goes, listen, I didn't believe any of this shit. He goes, I've worked here for 2 years. It's real. He goes, Lucy, they knew the names of the ghosts. Lucy, she's a redhead. He goes, I open the mirror when I'm here alone at 1 a.m, because it's kind of a really out of the way place,
Yeah.
He goes, he starts describing all these things that happened. You're like, oh God. So I do believe this place is sure.
Yeah. I think there's something to some of it. There has to be.
Yeah. What is energy? What does it mean?
Why are they willing to kill each other over one place? Because they think God's coming to this one place. Like, what do they know?
Yeah.
Like, it's so important to them. Like, how about
You're gonna love this book because
I'm
this
sure.
is exactly the point.
How about Mecca? How many Muslims travel to Mecca?
Yeah.
And you're absolved of your sins.
Yeah.
You go to Mecca, you make the pilgrimage, and they all go around, and they're essentially walking around a meteor.
Yeah.
It's a meteorite, right?
Is it?
Yeah, I think that's the center. Isn't that what it's the center of that box in Mecca? I think that's what it is. Look at that. Wow. I mean, when you also, like, how beautiful is that? If you go there, you probably really believe. It probably, even if it wasn't true, would have that effect on you, just psychologically, going to this incredible
with all these
location,
people,
with all these people, and everybody's peaceful,
and nobody's talking about Medina.
Nobody's talking about anything.
Mecca and Medina, and they always talk about Mecca. It's like Springsteen and John Cougar
Where's
Mellencamp.
Medina?
That's the other one.
The other one? So does it say there's a stone there?
This is the stone building.
But isn't there, Google meteor or meteorite.
It's where it's where Muhammad first saw the thing, right?
I think there's something to the, okay, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The embedded black stone was a further symbol of this as a meteorite that had fallen from the sky and linked heaven and earth. Yeah. It's crazy that they got one spot. Like, they'll fight over that spot. You can't have that spot.
They do?
Oh, yeah. Imagine if, like, the United States wanted to put a military base on that spot. Like, no, you got to take away your religious spot. It's not real.
No, that would
take away your spot.
That would be a real deal breaker.
That could be a deal breaker.
Where's Medina? Oh, there's Medina right next to it. They just spelled it different.
I keep thinking about Tyler Perry's character.
Medina. That's Mecca. That's Medina.
And Medina was cool, too?
Wow, yeah. They always say Mecca and Medina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I only heard Mecca.
I know, because people pray to Mecca. They don't pray to Medina. But
how come?
I think you have to go to both.
So is it like...
It's a major Islamic. They're really downgrading Medina. I don't like this. Yeah.
The tombs are there. The tomb of the Prophet Muhammad and other leaders are at Medina.
Mm. Is it like Simon and Garfunkel? Like one of them, they just everybody. Where's Garfunkel? He was
like,
great.
Hey, Garfunkel's great.
What happened? He was great.
Oh,
what happened?
Yeah,
Some of those
Medina's
things,
Garfunkel.
those things happen.
Although I'm sure they wouldn't, of all the people to be compared to, I don't think Simon and Garfunkel are what they'd want to be compared to. If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
They say, "Can you name somebody else, please?"
But I wonder what is so specific about that area. You know?
Yeah. No, I think Muhammad's from
history.
there or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and also the areas in Israel, these areas that are, you know.
Oh yeah.
The wall.
This Jerusalem book is really getting into it, and I'm like, oh my God, just the early stuff that's happening. There it is.
Okay, it's known as the site where the Prophet Muhammad received the command to change the direction of prayer to Mecca. Oh, so that's where he learned it.
Ah.